Welcome to Lesson 5.10 of the Grant Architect course. In this lesson, we explore the Fatal Flaw Review, a critical quality assurance process for identifying weaknesses that can doom proposals. Some flaws are minor and tolerable, others are fatal, making funding nearly impossible regardless of other strengths. Even the best ideas can fail if proposals contain fundamental weaknesses. By the end of this lesson, you will understand common fatal flaws in goals, objectives, and aims, and how to identify and address them before submission. This knowledge will help you avoid the most damaging mistakes that derail otherwise strong proposals. A fatal flaw is a critical weakness that makes funding unlikely regardless of other proposal strengths. Its character is not mere imperfection but fundamental problem. Every proposal has imperfections. Fatal flaws are different in kind, not just degree. They represent structural problems. Impact can outweigh many strengths. A proposal with excellent need statement, strong organization, and innovative methods can still fail if objectives are fundamentally flawed. Fatal flaws are disqualifying. Prevention is easier than recovery. Once reviewers identify a fatal flaw, their overall assessment suffers. Better to prevent flaws than try to recover during review. Interdependent aims represent a classic fatal flaw. The problem is that aim 2 fails if aim 1 fails. If your aims are sequentially dependent, failure at any point cascades through the project. Risk is that all work collapses if one component fails. Funders invest hoping for return. Interdependent structures put entire investment at risk. Reviewer concern focuses on high-risk structure. Reviewers specifically look for aim interdependence. NIH study sections flag this issue explicitly. The solution is designing aims with independent value. Each aim should produce useful knowledge or outcomes even if other aims fail. Independence reduces risk and strengthens proposals. Testing for aim independence reveals structural weaknesses. The key question asks if aim 1 fails, can aim 2 proceed? Walk through this scenario explicitly. If the answer is no, you have interdependence. Scenario analysis considers what happens if each aim fails. For each aim, imagine failure. Does the project still produce value, or does everything collapse? Fallback value asks whether partial success has value. Even if not all aims succeed, is there knowledge or outcomes produced? Some success should remain possible. Restructuring asks whether aims can be redesigned for independence. Sometimes modest restructuring transforms interdependent aims into independent ones. The same work, structured differently, reduces risk. Vague metrics represent another fatal flaw. The problem is that you cannot determine if the objective was achieved. Without clear metrics, success and failure become matters of interpretation. Accountability disappears. Examples include improve outcomes, increase awareness, and make progress. These sound positive but commit to nothing specific. What exactly will improve? By how much? How measured? Reviewer concern focuses on impossible accountability. Funders want to know if investments produce results. Vague metrics prevent this assessment. The solution specifies exact measures with targets. Replace improve with increase by 15%. Replace awareness with knowledge test scores above 80%. Precision creates accountability. Unrealistic targets undermine credibility. The problem is targets impossible given scope, time, and resources. When proposed results exceed what evidence suggests is possible, reviewers question competence. Examples include claiming 90% success when evidence shows similar programs achieve 50%, or promising condition change in 3 months when it typically requires years. Reviewer concern is that the applicant lacks realism or expertise. Unrealistic targets suggest either inexperience or desperation. Neither inspires confidence. The solution bases targets on evidence and capacity. What have comparable programs achieved? What can your organization realistically accomplish? Set ambitious but defensible targets. Logic model disconnect signals flawed program design. The problem is objectives not supported by activities. If outcomes appear in your objectives but enabling activities are absent, the logic breaks. Example, claiming employment outcomes without job placement activities. How will employment happen? What activity produces this outcome? The logic is missing. Reviewer concern is that program design is flawed. If the logic model does not connect, reviewers doubt the program will work. Design problems are fundamental. The solution ensures clear pathway from activities to outcomes. Every outcome should trace back to specific activities that produce it. Every activity should connect forward to outcomes it enables. Scope mismatch creates fundamental problems. The problem is objectives either too ambitious or too modest for available resources. Both directions cause trouble. Too much means you cannot accomplish everything proposed. If objectives require 10 staff but budget supports 5, objectives will not be achieved. Reviewers see this mismatch. Too little means objectives are not worth the investment requested. If you seek $500,000 to accomplish what could be done with $50,000, reviewers question efficiency. The solution matches scope to resources and funding. Objectives should be achievable with proposed resources. Resources should be appropriate for proposed objectives. Balance creates credibility. Timeline impossibility signals unrealistic planning. The problem is objectives that cannot be achieved in the proposed timeframe. Certain outcomes require certain time. Ignoring this suggests misunderstanding. Example: expecting long-term condition change in a 6-month project. Employment stability, health improvement, and educational attainment take time. 6 months may show process success but not condition change. Reviewer concern is that the applicant does not understand the work. Timeline impossibility suggests inexperience. Reviewers lose confidence in applicant capability. The solution aligns objectives with realistic timeframes. Short projects can achieve short-term outcomes. Long-term outcomes require long-term investment. Match what you measure to what is possible. Conducting fatal flaw review significantly improves proposal quality and competitiveness. Fresh eyes have someone unfamiliar review the proposal. Writers become blind to their own work after multiple revisions. Outside reviewers see what you miss because they approach it without assumptions. Systematic check uses a checklist of common flaws. Methodical review catches more problems than casual reading. Checklists ensure comprehensive review of all potential weakness areas. Devil's advocate actively looks for problems. The goal is finding flaws, not confirming quality. Adopt a critical mindset during this phase. Timing allows time to address identified issues. Fatal flaw review days before deadline is too late. Build in adequate time to fix problems discovered during review. A fatal flaw checklist guides systematic and thorough review of your proposal. Independence asks whether each aim can succeed independently. Walk through failure scenarios for each aim. If interdependence exists, restructure your aims to reduce risk. Measurability asks whether each objective can be verified with available data. For every objective, identify the specific data source and measurement method you will use. If verification is unclear, revise the objective for clarity and measurability. Feasibility asks whether targets are realistic given available resources and time frame. Compare targets to evidence from similar programs. Compare scope to available resources. Adjust if mismatched. Logic asks whether the pathway from activities to outcomes holds together. Trace each outcome back to enabling activities. Trace activities forward to intended outcomes. Fix any disconnections you identify. Fixing fatal flaws requires specific interventions. Restructure aims by creating independence through design. If aims are interdependent, revise so each produces value alone. The same work can often be structured differently. Specify metrics by replacing vague with precise. Every objective should have a specific measure and target. If you cannot specify measurement, the objective needs revision. Adjust targets by aligning with evidence and capacity. Unrealistic targets should be moderated. Overly modest targets should be strengthened. Find the right level. Strengthen logic by connecting activities to outcomes clearly. Add activities that enable disconnected outcomes. Remove outcomes without enabling activities. Logic must hold. When fatal flaws remain despite efforts, difficult choices arise. Reconsider submission because sometimes withdrawal is best. A fundamentally flawed proposal wastes reviewer time and damages reputation. Declining to submit preserves resources for stronger opportunities. Acknowledge limitations if flaws are minor by addressing them directly. Sometimes acknowledging a limitation demonstrates self-awareness and builds credibility. Funders appreciate honesty. Reframe as strengths when some weaknesses have compensating value. High-risk approaches may offer high reward. Novel methods may justify uncertain outcomes. Strategic framing helps. Learn for future by improving the next proposal. Failed proposals teach. Understand why the flaw existed and prevent it next time. Here is a practical exercise to apply what you have learned. Step 1. Select a draft proposal or logic model you have been developing. This could be from earlier exercises or actual grant development work. Step 2. Apply the fatal flaw checklist systematically. Check for aim independence, metric clarity, target feasibility, and logical connection. Be thorough. Step 3. Identify any fatal flaws present. Be honest. Finding flaws now prevents rejection later. Step 4. Develop specific fixes for each flaw identified. How can you restructure, specify, adjust, strengthen, create concrete revision plans? Let us summarize the key points from this lesson. Fatal flaws are critical weaknesses that can doom proposals regardless of other strengths. They represent fundamental problems, not mere imperfections. Common types include interdependent aims, vague metrics, unrealistic targets, logic model disconnects, and scope or timeline mismatches. Know what to look for. The review process uses systematic checking with fresh eyes. Checklists, outside reviewers, and time for revision improve detection and correction. In our next lesson, we will explore how AI can assist with smart objective refinement. AI tools offer new possibilities for converting vague goals into measurable objectives and identifying measurement gaps.